Hi, everybody. My name is Al Weiss. I'm the Director of Educational Technology and Curricular Innovation here at Pacific University. And I just want to go over a couple of Zoom functions and management techniques that you can use in your virtual classes to help mitigate the chance that somebody from outside Pacific or outside your class can come in and cause havoc or disrupt your class in some way. And these are pretty simple techniques and don't take much time. So the first thing that I think you should do, and I think you should do this for any class that you're in, I always do it, is turn on two things. And those are the Manage Participants window and the chat window. And they're just down here. So if you wiggle your mouse around, you'll open up this toolbar and you'll see Manage Participants here. And that then opens up this window here on the right. And then the chat window, right? And this just lets you see what's happening in that group chat. And by having these two windows open, you sort of get a good sort of global view of what's happening in the course. You can see sort of that list of all your participants. You can see when they come in, when they leave, who's there, what name they're registered under. And you can quickly see if you don't recognize a name that's in that list or you don't recognize somebody's handle, you can sort of ask who they are, ask them to rename themselves maybe, if there's somebody who should be in there, or quickly know if there's somebody who shouldn't be in there. Likewise with the chat, this is good just to have up, and so you can see if any of your students have questions or are writing stuff in there. It's good to look at it, but it's also good to see if somebody, again, starts posting something that's inappropriate. You can quickly see who's doing that and then take other actions. The next thing I like to do, this is a super simple thing, is if I'm not sharing my screen or using slides, I don't like to actually be in this view that we're in right now. What I like to do is put myself up here into the gallery view, and then I can see about 15, 16 of the students who are in the course. I can see them just sort of all here in one big window. I only have 4 students in here right now. But if I had more, it would sort of look like this big Brady Bunch type screen. And I ask all the students to keep or participants to keep their video on. And then I can just see like, oh, are they nodding off? Are they the right person? Are they actually still in the frame? And again, if somebody who didn't belong there sort of popped in, I can sort of say that person doesn't look like they are somebody I recognize from earlier in the semester. Maybe I should ask who they are. So it both allows me to sort of quickly keep that temperature of that class, but also just to detect if somebody has come in who isn't supposed to be there. So those are sort of ways in which you can just keep an eye on your class. So I'm going to show you another couple techniques, a couple settings that you can turn on right at the beginning that can help you identify, one, when people come and leave the class. And the second one is to make sure that nobody comes in the class after you've got everybody in there you need to have in there. So I'm going to move my chat window out of the way here. And then I'm going to go down here to the bottom of my participants window. And you see where it says more here, this drop-down list. If I go in there, there's 2 things I want to draw your attention to. The first one is this. It says play, enter, exit chime. If I select that, that just means that anytime somebody comes into the course, there's a little bling, and when they leave, there's a bling. So again, that just gives me a little oral cue of what's happening. So if I'm sort of in the middle of doing something and I hear that, I can then look at my participants list and say, like, has somebody come in who shouldn't be here? Or look at my windows and just see that. I can also hear really quickly if somebody leaves. And again, I can address that. The second thing that's here, if you notice this very last option is lock meeting. And this is a good one for if you have, especially if you have a relatively small class, like 15, 20 students. If you see everybody's in your class, they're all there, you can just say like, okay, nobody else is coming in here. I'm just going to choose lock meeting. And once I do that, nobody else can come into that meeting, right? So I'm assured that that meeting is just going to be with the people that I have in that meeting at that time. So the last thing I want to show you now is that you can lock meetings and have all this other kinds of stuff to keep an eye on stuff. Now, if somebody does get into the meeting, you do want to know how to get somebody out of that meeting who's being disruptive. So whether that's a student who's in your course or someone who's come in and shouldn't be there at all. So you can see over here, I have several people here. I have Jill student, Joe student, I have Jane Disruptor. And Jane Disruptor here, she doesn't have her video on, and I want her, she's doing some stuff that I don't want to have happen, so I want to get her out of the course. So I'm just going to hover over here on the participants window, and then under here where it says more, I click that, and there's two choices that I have for Jane Disruptor. The first one is put on hold, and the second one is remove. So I'm going to choose the first one now. So I'm going to put her on hold. And what happens when Jane Disruptor gets put on hold is that she gets put in this little holding pen here, and she can no longer interact with that session, right? So this is a good one if you're not quite sure what this person is. They might be somebody who should be in your class. They might not be. You can go and put them into hold, maybe email them offline or wait for them to contact you outside of Zoom. And if they do need to be in that course, you could take them off hold and they come and they join right back in. So that's a handy one to do, particularly if you don't know whether or not that person has a right to be in your course and you're just trying to you just want to have exercise an abundance of caution. Now, if somebody's really, Jane Disruptor is really causing a nuisance, you do have another choice here, and that's the remove function. And the nice thing about the remove function is that when you remove somebody from that session, they are not allowed to re-enter that session. They can't come back in. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to remove Jane Disruptor. And it says, do you want to remove Jane Disruptor? Once removed, Jane Disruptor will not be able to rejoin the meeting. And I say, okay, right? Boom, she is gone. And you heard the little chime that said she's has left the course. So now I can go on with my session if I want to, and know that Jane won't come back and cause havoc again. There is one caveat to that remove, and that is if I end this meeting and then come back to the same link, Jane would be able to actually get back into that new session. So if you do have somebody who's that disruptive and outside, you'll probably want to create a new meeting for your next class session. So those are a couple techniques there, a couple management techniques. They're all pretty straightforward, but with that little toolbox, you can really be sure that that you can sort of keeping a good eye on what's happening in your class sessions, in your virtual class sessions, and then deal with any kind of problem that might come up by either putting that student on hold or actually removing them. All right. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.